The rain wasn't falling. It was attacking, a cold horizontal assault that turned the pavement into a black mirror and the world into a blur. Inside the tired glow of Martha's nook, the world was reduced to the hiss of the grill and the rhythmic squeak of a rag on formica. Martha herself, a woman whose face was a kind roadmap of 60-plus years, was counting pennies from the tip jar, not for herself, but to see if she had enough to cover the wholesaler for the next day's bread. The bell above the door jangled, not with confidence, but with a hesitant, waterlogged shudder. A boy stood there, maybe 16, drowned in a jacket 2 sizes too big. He wasn't just wet. He was etched in water, shivering, his eyes fixed on the floor as if hoping it would swallow him whole. He hovered near the "Please wait to be seated" sign, a statue of pure teenage anguish. Martha didn't see a potential problem or a disruption. She saw the desperate set of his shoulders, the way his Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed nothing. She saw a ghost of her own son years ago, struggling before he found his feet. "Hey there, sugar," her voice was a warm blanket in the chilly diner. "You look like you've had a time of it. Why don't you come sit right here at the counter and get warm?" He flinched, as if kindness was a foreign language. I can't order anything, ma'am," he mumbled, the words barely audible over the storm. "I just needed to get out of the rain." "I'll go." "Nonsense," Martha said, her tone leaving no room for argument. She gestured to the stool. "Sit, my name's Martha. And in my nook nobody gets out of the rain on an empty stomach. Law of the land." His name was Leo. He sat, perched on the edge of the stool as if ready to bolt. Martha didn't ask questions. She turned to the grill and cooked a symphony of comfort, 2 eggs sunny side up like a happy face, 4 strips of bacon crisp enough to snap a heap of home fries, golden brown, and a short stack of pancakes, the butter melting into a tiny lake in the center. She placed the feast before him with a glass of cold milk. Leo looked at the food, then at her, his eyes wide with a confusion that bordered on fear. "I told you I can't pay," he whispered, his pride crumbling. "And I told you," Martha said softly, leaning on the counter, "it's on the house. Every soul deserves a warm meal on a cold night. Now eat before it gets cold. That's an order from the management." He ate. Slowly at first, then with a ravenous intensity that spoke of days, not hours, of hunger. Martha busied herself, wiping already clean counters, giving him the dignity of privacy. When he was done, every crumb vanished. He looked up, and for the first time, he met her eyes. Tears welled in his, mixing with the rainwater still clinging to his lashes. "Thank you," he said, and the 2 words carried the weight of 1,000. "Don't you think a thing of it," she waved him off. She then reached under the counter and pulled out a brown paper bag. She slipped in 2 apples, a leftover biscuit wrapped in foil, and a $20 bill from the nearly empty tip jar, a secret she would take to her grave. "For later," she said, pressing it into his hands. "Now you get on home, Leo. And you remember, no matter how bad the storm gets, there's always a dry spot somewhere." He nodded, speechless again, clutching the bag like a lifeline. He left, the bell jangling softly behind him, swallowed by the stormy night. Martha never forgot him. Over the years, she'd wonder about the hungry boy with the proud eyes. She hoped he was okay. Life went on. The diner got a little shabbier, her steps a little slower, and the rising rent on her tiny apartment above the shop became a storm cloud all its own. 15 years later, a sleek, silent car pulled up outside Martha's nook. A man in an impeccably tailored coat got out. He carried himself with an easy confidence, but his eyes scanned the familiar street with a poignant nostalgia. He walked into the diner and the bell made the same sound it always had. Martha, her hair now fully silver, looked up from the coffee machine. "Be right with you, hon. Sit anywhere you like." The man didn't sit. He walked to the counter, to the very same stool, and stood there until Martha turned around. Her eyes had weakened, but her memory hadn't. She saw the man, the successful posture, the sharp suit, but beneath it, she saw the boy. The set of the jaw, the eyes that held a storm she remembered. "Leo?" The name escaped her lips on a breath of disbelief. A brilliant, relieved smile broke across his face. "You remember?" "Of course I remember," she said, her hand fluttering to her heart. My goodness. "Look at you." They talked for an hour. He told her his story. That night was his rock bottom. He'd run away from a bad situation, was sleeping in bus shelters, and had given up. Her meal, her kindness, the $20, it was the first human compassion he'd felt in months. It was the fuel that kept him going. He got a job the next day washing dishes. He got his GED. He went to community college, then university. He had a knack for real estate, an eye for potential where others saw ruin. I built a company, he said, modestly. I'd been lucky. Luck had nothing to do with it, sugar, Martha corrected him. That was all you, he smiled. No, Martha. It was the happy face eggs. It was the law of the land. You were my dry spot in the storm, he asked about her. She was her usual cheerful self, but he was sharp. He saw the leak in the ceiling she'd bucketized, the notice from the landlord about a massive rent hike pinned under the coffee maker. He saw the weariness she tried so hard to hide. He finished his coffee black just like he'd drunk it 15 years ago and stood. Martha, would you take a ride with me? There's something I want to show you. Curious. And frankly a little thrilled by the adventure, she took off her apron and hung it on its hook. He drove her just a few blocks away to a quiet tree-lined street she always admired on her walks. He stopped in front of a beautiful, well-kept craftsman bungalow with a wide porch and a blooming garden. Oh, it's one of my favorites, Martha sighed. I always call it the happy house. The couple who lived here were so sweet. They just moved to Florida. I know, Leo said softly. He pulled a set of keys from his pocket and placed them in her work-worn hand. They sold it. To me. Martha stared at the keys, then at him, utterly confused. I don't understand. This is your dry spot, Martha, he said, his voice thick with emotion. The rent, the long hours, the worry. That storm is over. This is your house. It's paid for. It's yours. Martha's world tilted. She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. No, Leo, I can't. You can't do this. A meal isn't worth a house. Leo took both her hands in his own eyes glistening. You're right, it wasn't just a meal. It was the look in your eyes that said I was still a person when I felt invisible. It was the gift of dignity when I had none. It was the hope you gave me for $20 and a bag of food. How do you put a price on that? You gave me a future, Martha. The least I can do is give you a present where you can enjoy yours. He led the stunned woman up the walkway, onto the porch, and unlocked the door to her new life. Martha's nook eventually closed, but the legend grew. It became a local story, a testament to the fact that the smallest acts of kindness are never singular events. They are seeds. And sometimes against all odds, they grow into a house with a wide welcoming porch where a kind woman lives mortgage-free forever. Grateful she once decided to break the law of the land for a hungry boy, and he in turn rewrote the laws of the universe for her.